The Force binds all things across the galaxy, connecting every living being in an invisible web of energy that flows through stars, planets, and the spaces between. It is the foundation of reality itself in this universe, ancient, immutable, eternal. But what happens when something from beyond crashes through that foundation? What happens when a power the Force has never encountered tears through its very essence like a fist through glass? The answer came on a night when Coruscant's eternal cityscape glittered beneath a sky choked with traffic and starlight. America Chavez didn't mean to break reality. She was running, had been running for what felt like weeks across dimensions, fleeing the Watchers who'd discovered her unauthorized jumps between universes. Her knuckles still burned with starfire as she punched another portal, tearing through the fabric of space-time with practiced desperation. The multiverse was infinite, but the Watchers were patient. Every reality she touched, they followed, collapsing the pathways behind her like pulling up ladder rungs. This time, she punched harder than ever before. The portal opened and screamed. Not a sound, exactly. More like every atom in existence recoiled at once. America felt at the instant her star-shaped gateway intersected with something that shouldn't exist. A living energy field that permeated this entire universe, ancient and vast and utterly incompatible with multiversal physics. Her portals worked by punching through dimensional membranes. This energy, this force, was the membrane here. The collision was catastrophic. Reality fractured. America tumbled through, her body wreathed in blue-white dimensional fire that flickered and died the moment she crossed the threshold. The Force recoiled like living tissue meeting poison, and the shockwave of their collision rippled outward at the speed of thought. Across Coruscant, Jedi Masters gasped and clutched their chests. In the Jedi Temple, ancient holocrons flickered and went dark. On Sereno, Count Dooku's eyes snapped open in his meditation chamber, a cold smile spreading across his face. And in the Senate building, Chancellor Palpatine paused mid-sentence, yellow eyes hidden behind kind blue irises as he tasted something delicious and unexpected in the Force. Something wrong. America hit the permacrete of level 1313 hard enough to crater it. Pain exploded through her body. Real pain, not the usual bruises she shrugged off. Something about this universe made her hurt in ways she hadn't since she was a kid. She rolled to her feet anyway, fists raised, star portals crackling around her knuckles on instinct. The energy sputtered, died, reformed, died again. No, 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 no. America stared at her hands, watching her powers flicker like a dying light bulb. She'd never had her abilities fail before. She was the only America Chavez in the multiverse. Her powers were part of her DNA, as natural as breathing. But here, in this place, something was actively rejecting her. The air itself felt thick, resistant, like moving through water. Every breath tasted of exhaust fumes and fried noodles from nearby food stalls, mixed with something else. Something invisible that pressed against her skin like static electricity. She could feel it trying to push her out, a subtle but constant pressure that made her teeth ache. A patrol speeder screamed overhead, searchlights stabbing down into the lower levels. America ducked into an alley, pressing her back against cold metal walls, slick with condensation. The underworld of Coruscant sprawled around her, a vertical maze of platforms, walkways, and shadows that never saw natural sunlight. Neon signs in a dozen languages advertised pleasures and vices. Somewhere nearby, a cantina spilled drunken laughter and discordant music into the night. She tried to open a portal home. The star-shaped gateway flickered into existence, crackling with unstable energy, and immediately began pulling the surrounding reality toward it like a wound trying to close. Metal groaned. Permacrete cracked. The Force itself seemed to howl in protest, and America felt something vast and terrible turn its attention toward her. She let the portal collapse, gasping. Trapped. She was trapped in a universe that was actively trying to expel her, with powers that barely functioned and pursuers who'd felt her arrival like a gunshot. Above, in the Jedi Temple, the Council was already convening an emergency session. Far above that, in the space between dimensions, the Watchers marked her location and began their descent. They'd given America Chavez chances before. They'd warned her about unauthorized dimensional travel. They'd explained the rules that kept the multiverse stable. This time, she'd gone too far. This time, she'd damaged something even they couldn't ignore. The countdown had begun. America just didn't know it yet. She only knew she was alone, hurt, and lost in a galaxy that felt fundamentally hostile to her existence. The logical choice would be to run, find a way to fix her powers, and escape before whatever passed for authority here found her. But America Chavez had never been good at running away from things. She pushed off the wall, wincing at the lingering pain in her ribs, and started walking deeper into level 1313. If she was stuck here, she needed information. Needed to understand what that weird energy field was and why it hated her so much. Needed to find someone who could help. Somewhere in this massive city planet, there had to be answers. What she found instead would change everything. If you want to see more characters enter the Star Wars galaxy, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character you'd want to see in the comments below. May the Force be with you. Ahsoka Tano had learned to navigate Coruscant's underworld through necessity rather than choice. 3 weeks since walking away from the Jedi Order, and the city planet that had once felt like home now seemed deliberately hostile. The Council's rejection still burned, not just their failure to believe in her, but their willingness to sacrifice her to Senate politics. She'd spent her entire life training to be a Jedi, believing in their code, trusting their wisdom. They'd taught her well, just not in the ways they'd intended. She moved through level 1313 with practice caution, mantras hidden beneath a worn hood, lightsabers concealed beneath her jacket. Down here, questions weren't asked and answers weren't given. It was perfect for someone trying to disappear. She'd been taking odd jobs, security work mostly, protecting shipments for people who couldn't afford Republic justice. The irony wasn't lost on her. The disturbance in the Force hit her like a physical blow. Ahsoka stumbled, catching herself against a rusted support beam. Her leku tingled painfully, her connection to the Force suddenly screaming warnings in a dozen directions at once. Something was wrong, catastrophically wrong. The Force itself felt wounded, like fabric stretched too thin, and at the center of it all was a signature unlike anything she'd ever encountered. Not dark side, not light side, not side at all. Something else entirely. Her hand found her lightsaber hilt instinctively as she moved toward the disturbance. Years of training overrode the voice in her head that said this wasn't her responsibility anymore. She wasn't a Jedi, wasn't a peacekeeper. She'd walked away from all of that. But old habits died hard, and Ahsoka had never been good at ignoring people in trouble. She found the girl collapsed in an alley between a pawn shop and a Twi'lek gambling den. Young, maybe 16, 17 standard years. Human appearing, with dark hair pulled back in a star-shaped clip, and clothing Ahsoka didn't recognize. Denim jacket over a white shirt with a star emblem. Red boots. Unconscious, but breathing. And absolutely radiating wrongness in the Force. Not malice. Not corruption. Just profound, fundamental incompatibility. Like her very existence, contradicted the laws of this universe. The air around her shimmered with barely visible distortions, reality itself trying to decide whether she was actually there. Ahsoka knelt carefully, keeping her distance. "Hey, can you hear me?" The girl's eyes snapped open, dark brown, wide with panic. Her fist came up glowing with blue-white energy that crackled like contained lightning, and Ahsoka felt the Force lurch sickeningly around them. The alley walls groaned. Permacrete fractured in spiderweb patterns. Whoa, whoa. Ahsoka raised her hands, projecting calm through the Force. "I'm not going to hurt you." The girl stared at her, chest heaving. The energy around her fist intensified, forming a star-shaped pattern that began tearing a hole in reality itself. Through the growing rift, Ahsoka glimpsed impossible things, endless void, swirling colors that hurt to look at, the suggestion of other worlds layered on top of this one. Then the girl gasped in pain, and the portal collapsed. She clutched her hand, staring at it with something like betrayal. What did you do to me? Her accent was strange, vowels shaped differently than any core world dialect. I didn't do anything, Ahsoka said carefully. You're hurt. Let me help. Stay back. The girl scrambled away, back hitting the alley wall. I can feel you. That weird energy field, it's all around you, it's trying to... She broke off, breathing hard. Where am I? Coruscant. Level 13. Ahsoka stayed crouched, non-threatening. What's your name? The girl studied her with obvious suspicion. Her gaze lingered on Ahsoka's montrals, visible now that the hood had fallen back. You're not human. Togruta, Ahsoka confirmed. And you're not from around here. Like, not from around here at all. She'd felt plenty of Force-sensitive beings in her life. This girl wasn't just from another planet. She felt like she was from another reality entirely. America, the girl said finally. America Chavez. And yeah, I'm really far from home. America. Ahsoka tested the name. That's unusual. Not where I'm from. America tried to stand, winced, and accepted Ahsoka's offered hand with obvious reluctance. The moment their skin touched, Ahsoka felt it. A surge of energy that made the Force recoil violently. America yanked her hand back, cradling it. Sorry. I'm sorry, my powers are going crazy here. Powers. Ahsoka's mind raced. Not Force-sensitive, then. Something else. What kind of powers? America hesitated, then seemed to make a decision. She raised her fist, and the star-shaped energy flickered back to life, weak, unstable, but unmistakably there. I can travel between dimensions. Universes. The multiverse. She laughed bitterly. Could travel. Here, every time I try to open a portal, it's like the whole world fights back. Because she was fighting the Force itself. Ahsoka understood immediately. The Force was the foundation of their reality. It connected everything, flowed through everything. America's portals worked by punching through dimensional barriers. Here, the Force was the barrier. The energy field you're feeling, Ahsoka said slowly. We call it the Force. It's complicated, but it's part of everything in this galaxy. If your powers work by breaking through dimensions, and the Force is woven through this entire dimension, then every time I open a portal, I'm tearing the Force itself. America closed her fist, the energy dying. She looked exhausted. Great. Perfect. I break the universe just by existing here. Something in her voice, defeated, isolated, abandoned, resonated painfully with Ahsoka's own recent experiences. She knew what it felt like to have everything you relied on suddenly turn against you. Come on, Ahsoka said, making a decision she'd probably regret. I've got a place nearby. It's not much, but it's safer than here. We can figure this out. Why would you help me? America's suspicion warred with obvious desperation. You don't know me. For all you know, I'm dangerous. Ahsoka smiled sadly. 3 weeks ago, the people I trusted most in the galaxy decided I was dangerous too. They were wrong. She met America's eyes. Besides, I've got a feeling that if I leave you here, something much worse than me is going to find you first. As if on cue, a Jedi shuttle screamed overhead, searchlights sweeping the lower levels. America's expression hardened. They felt me arrive, didn't they? That weird energy field. The Force, yeah. Probably every Force-sensitive on the planet felt that. Ahsoka pulled her hood back up, which means we need to move. Now, America pushed off the wall, still unsteady but determined. Lead the way, Blue. It's Ahsoka. America. Neither of them realized it yet, but in that moment, in that simple exchange of names, in the decision to trust rather than flee, they'd set something in motion that would shake the foundations of both their realities. The Watchers, observing from beyond dimensional barriers, marked the connection and accelerated their timeline. The countdown had just shortened considerably. Ahsoka's safe house was a converted maintenance bay on level 1292, just high enough to avoid the worst of the underworld's criminal activity, just low enough that nobody asked questions. The space was barely larger than a temple meditation chamber, furnished with a sleeping mat, a small kitchenette, and a workbench covered in droid parts she'd been repairing for credits. America stood in the center of the room, looking profoundly out of place. She turned in a slow circle, taking in the grimy windows, the exposed pipes, the distant hum of traffic that never quite faded. "This is your place." Like I said, not much. Ahsoka sealed the door and activated the basic security system she'd rigged. But it's off the grid. No registered tenant, no surveillance. Down here, nobody cares who you are as long as you pay rent. Sounds familiar. America touched the workbench, fingers tracing the scattered droid components. I've crashed in a lot of places like this. Different universes, same vibe. She glanced back at Ahsoka. "So what's your story? You said people thought you were dangerous." Ahsoka moved to the kitchenette, pulling out 2 ration packs. Not exactly a feast, but it was what she had. "I was a Jedi. Padawan learner under Anakin Skywalker." Past tense. The words still tasted bitter. There was an incident at the temple. Bombing. People died. The evidence pointed to me. "But you didn't do it." "No." Ahsoka handed America one of the packs. "But the council didn't believe me. They expelled me, handed me over to the Republic military for trial. I was going to be executed for terrorism." America's eyes widened. "What happened?" "My master proved my innocence. Found the real bomber." Ahsoka sat on the edge of her sleeping mat. "The council apologized. Invited me back. Said it was all a great trial, that the Force was testing me." "Let me guess." America sat across from her, cross-legged on the floor. "You told them where to shove their apology." A surprised laugh escaped Ahsoka. "Something like that. I couldn't trust them anymore. Couldn't serve an order that would abandon me so easily." She looked down at her hands. "So I left 3 weeks ago. Still figuring out what comes next." "Join the club." America picked at her ration pack without much enthusiasm. "I've been running for I don't even know how long anymore. There are these beings called Watchers, multiversal enforcers. They monitor dimensional travel, make sure people don't break reality by jumping around too much." She smiled bitterly. "Turns out I break a lot of rules." "Why?" "Because I was looking for my mothers." The words came quietly, weighted with old grief. "They disappeared into the multiverse when I was 6. I've been searching ever since. Every universe I visit, every world I explore, maybe they're there. Maybe I'll find them." She met Ahsoka's gaze. "The Watchers don't care. They just want me to stop." Ahsoka understood. The need to find something lost. The refusal to accept what authority figures said was impossible. "We're both running from the people who should have protected us." "Yeah." America's expression softened slightly. "Guess we are." For a moment, they sat in companionable silence. Outside, the city hummed its eternal song. Inside, 2 young women from different realities found unexpected common ground. Then, Ahsoka's comm unit chirped. She grabbed it, checking the encrypted channel. Her heart sank. "It's from an old contact in the temple. Someone who's still." She read the message, her montrals darkening with dread. "The council knows you're here. They've declared you a priority 1 disturbance." America stood, energy already crackling around her fists. "What does that mean?" "It means they think you're a threat to the entire galaxy." Ahsoka pulled up a secondary feed, public temple broadcasts. The council had issued an official statement. "Unknown entity detected, catastrophic force disruption. Citizens advised to report any sightings. They're mobilizing Jedi across Coruscant to find you." "Then I need to leave." America moved toward the door. "Get out of this universe before I cause more damage." "Wait." Ahsoka caught her arm and immediately felt the wrongness again. The Force recoiled from the contact, like oil separating from water. America gasped, and for a split second, Ahsoka saw the dimensional rift trying to form between their touching skin. They both pulled back. "See." America's voice shook. "I'm literally toxic to your reality. Every second I'm here, I'm making it worse." She looked at her hands, at the star-shaped scars of energy flickering across her knuckles. "The Force hates me." "The Force doesn't hate anyone," Ahsoka said, though she wasn't entirely sure that was true anymore. The Force had felt so certain when she was a Jedi. Now it felt complicated, contradictory, sometimes cruel. You're just different. From outside the system. Different enough that your council wants me locked up. The council wanted me dead. Ahsoka's voice hardened. They were wrong then. They're wrong now. America studied her with those dark, searching eyes. You don't owe me anything, Ahsoka. We just met. You can walk away. She could. Should, probably. The smart choice was to let the Jedi handle this. To avoid getting involved in something that could bring their attention back to her. She'd just escaped their authority. Why invite it back into her life? But Ahsoka looked at America Chavez. Alone, frightened despite her bravado. Hunted by forces she didn't understand in a universe that rejected her existence. And saw herself reflected back. Saw the girl who'd been abandoned by the people who promised to protect her. No, Ahsoka said quietly. I can't. Can't what? Can't walk away. Can't let them take you. Ahsoka crossed the workbench, pulling out her lightsabers and checking their charge. The Council will send Jedi Masters to apprehend you. They'll try to contain you, study you, maybe hurt you to understand how you work. I won't let that happen. Why? America's voice cracked slightly. Why would you risk that for me? Ahsoka activated one lightsaber, the green blade humming to life. Its glow reflected in America's wide eyes. Because 3 weeks ago, I needed someone to believe I wasn't a monster. Nobody did. She deactivated the blade, meeting America's gaze. I won't make that same mistake. America's breath caught. For a long moment, she just stared. Then something shifted in her expression. Vulnerability giving way to determination. Okay, then we fight. We run first, Ahsoka corrected. Fight only if we have to. The Jedi aren't evil, America. They're just afraid. We need time to figure out why you're disrupting the Force so badly, and how to fix it. And if we can't fix it, Ahsoka clipped her lightsabers to her belt, pulled her hood up. Then we figure out Plan B together. Outside, Jedi search teams were already converging on level 1313, following the lingering disturbance in the Force. Temple guards mobilized. Masters Kiadamundi and Plo Koon personally led the investigation, their concern genuine even as their methods threatened. In the Senate building, Palpatine sensed the currents shifting and smiled. Chaos created opportunity, and beyond dimensional barriers, the Watchers observed the growing bond between the multiversal exile and the Force-sensitive outcast with cold calculation. Their timeline accelerated again. 3 days until reality collapse. Neither woman knew they were already out of time. They made it 4 levels up before Count Dooku found them. Ahsoka sensed him first, that distinctive presence in the Force, elegant and cold as a blade. She'd fought alongside him once years ago, before his fall. Before he'd become Darth Tyrannus, apprentice to the Sith Lord who orchestrated this entire war. He felt different now, sharper, hungrier. We need to move, she hissed, pulling America into a side corridor. Now. What? What is it? America followed, her boots clanging on metal grating. Sith Lord. Powerful one. Ahsoka's hand found her lightsaber. He's tracking us through the Force, through the disturbance you're creating. I'm not trying to. America bit off the protest. How do I stop broadcasting my location to every wizard in the galaxy? You can't. You're a walking wound in the Force. Ahsoka scanned for exits. Dead end. Of course. He's close. Really close. The corridor lights flickered. Shadows deepened. And then Count Dooku simply stepped out of the darkness ahead of them. His curved lightsaber hilt visible at his belt. His silver beard and aristocratic features composed in an expression of calculated interest. Ahsoka Tano. His voice was cultured, refined. The Council's failed apprentice. How fitting that you would shelter this anomaly. Ahsoka's lightsabers ignited, twin green blades casting harsh light. Stay back, Dooku. So hostile. I merely wish to talk. His gaze shifted to America, and something like fascination flickered across his features. You are the disturbance that wounded the Force itself. Remarkable. America's fists glowed with starfire. The energy was stronger now, more stable than before. Ahsoka felt it pushing against the force, creating pressure that made her teeth ache. I don't know who you are, old man, but you picked the wrong fight. Dooku smiled. Old man. I like her spirit. He made no move to draw his weapon. I am Count Dooku, leader of the Confederacy of Independent Systems. And I'm here to offer you something the Jedi never will, Miss Chavez. America's eyes narrowed. How do you know my name? The Force whispers many things to those who listen without prejudice. He clasped his hands behind his back, utterly relaxed despite facing two opponents. I know you're from beyond this reality. I know the Jedi Council has declared you a threat. I know they will hunt you, study you, and ultimately try to destroy what they cannot understand. He paused. And I know you have nowhere else to turn. Don't listen to him, Ahsoka warned. He's manipulating you. Am I? Dooku's tone remained pleasant. Tell me, Ahsoka, when the Council betrayed you, where were the Jedi who claimed to value truth and justice? When they cast you out, who stood beside you? He let the questions hang. No one. You learned what I learned long ago. The Jedi Order is corrupt, their ideals hollow. Ahsoka's grip tightened on her lightsabers, but she couldn't deny his words entirely. The wound was still too fresh. America, Dooku continued, turning his full attention to the multiversal traveler. The Confederacy can offer you sanctuary, resources, protection from the Jedi's persecution. In exchange, you would assist us in ending this war, saving countless lives from the Republic's hypocrisy. By doing what? America's stance remained defensive, but Ahsoka heard the dangerous curiosity in her voice. Your dimensional rifts. Dooku gestured elegantly. Imagine opening them not randomly, but precisely, behind Republic lines, allowing separatist forces instantaneous travel across the galaxy. The war would end in weeks instead of years. Trillions of lives saved. It was a compelling argument. Too compelling. Ahsoka stepped forward. He's using you. The separatists don't want peace. They want control. Dooku serves a Sith Lord who's playing both sides of this war. And the Jedi serve a republic that's already fallen to corruption. Dooku countered smoothly. At least I'm honest about my methods. He focused on America again. You came to this galaxy by accident. The Jedi want to imprison you for it. I'm offering freedom. The choice is yours. America looked between them, conflict written across her face. Ahsoka could almost see her weighing the options. Here was someone offering her exactly what she needed: safety, resources, a way to stop running. All she had to do was weaponize her abilities for a cause she didn't understand. America, please. Ahsoka deactivated one lightsaber, extending her hand. I know you're scared. I know you don't know who to trust in this galaxy. But this isn't the answer. Why not? America's voice was raw. You said it yourself. The Jedi betrayed you. Why should I believe they're better than him? Because I'm not asking you to choose the Jedi. I'm asking you to choose yourself. Ahsoka took a breath. Dooku wants to use your powers to win a war. The Council wants to lock you up to preserve their order. Neither of them sees you as a person. Just a tool. A threat. A weapon. America's starfire flickered, uncertainty bleeding through. But I see you, America. I see someone who's been running and hurting and trying to find where she belongs. Ahsoka's voice softened. You don't have to pick a side in a war that isn't yours. We can find another way. For a long moment, America stood frozen between them. Dooku's offer represented security, power, purpose. Ahsoka's represented uncertainty, continued struggle, and faith in someone she just met. Then America looked at Ahsoka, really looked at her, at the exhaustion in her eyes, the determination, the refusal to compromise herself even when it would be easier. America lowered her fists. The starfire died. Thanks, but no thanks, Count. I don't do the whole evil empire thing. Dooku's expression didn't change, but something cold entered his eyes. Unfortunate. I had hoped you would be reasonable. His lightsaber ignited, crimson blade humming with dark side energy. Run. Ahsoka shoved America backward as Dooku struck. His blade met hers in a shower of sparks, the elegant Makashi form flowing like water. She trained against this style, knew its strengths and weaknesses. But Dooku was a master, where she was still a learner. He pressed the attack, driving her back with surgical precision. The girl made her choice, Ahsoka. Now you'll both suffer the consequences. America's fists erupted with starfire. Hey, nobody threatens my friends. She punched the air, and reality tore. The dimensional rift exploded into existence between them, a swirling vortex of multiversal energy that screamed against the Force. Dooku actually stumbled backward, his connection to the dark side disrupted by the sheer wrongness of it. Through the portal, Ahsoka glimpsed impossible vistas, cityscapes that defied gravity, skies with too many moons, worlds where physics worked differently. Go, America shouted, struggling to hold the rift open. Blood dripped from her nose. The effort was tearing her apart. I can't hold this long. Ahsoka grabbed America's arm, ignored the nauseating sensation of Force and multiverse colliding, and pulled them both through. The last thing she saw was Dooku's face, calculating even in surprise, before reality folded around them and spat them out somewhere else entirely. They tumbled onto hard ground, gasping. America's portal collapsed with a sound like breaking glass, leaving dimensional fractures hanging in the air like frozen lightning. Ahsoka looked around. They were on a landing platform mid-levels, surrounded by park speeders and cargo containers. Where are we? I don't know. America wiped blood from her face, exhausted. I just punched us somewhere else. Anywhere else. You called me your friend, Ahsoka said quietly. America blinked. What? Back there. You said nobody threatens my friends. A flush crept across America's cheeks. Yeah, well, you stuck your neck out for me. Twice now. That counts for something. Something warm bloomed in Ahsoka's chest. She'd left the Jedi Order with no one. Now, impossibly, she had an ally. A friend. Someone who chose her over safety and power. Come on, Ahsoka said, standing and offering her hand. We need to. The platform shook. Warning sirens blared. And through the Force, Ahsoka felt them. Jedi search teams, converging on the dimensional fracture America had left behind like blood in the water. Dooku had let them escape, but he'd forced America to use her powers openly, leaving a beacon that every Force-sensitive on Coruscant could track. They were out of places to hide. They found refuge in an abandoned observation deck on the edge of Coruscant's old Senate district. The windows overlooked the planet's curvature, endless cityscape glittering like a circuit board stretching to the horizon. During the Republic's golden age, this place had hosted diplomatic galas. Now it was just another forgotten space in a galaxy too busy with war to maintain its monuments. Ahsoka sealed the entrance while America collapsed against the far wall, sliding down until she sat on the dust-covered floor. Her hands trembled, starfire flickering weakly around her knuckles like dying embers. You okay? Ahsoka crossed to her, crouching down. Define okay. America laughed bitterly. I just ripped a hole between dimensions with a Sith Lord breathing down my neck. I can barely control my powers. And every time I use them, I apparently ring a dinner bell for an entire planet of space wizards. She looked up, meeting Ahsoka's concerned gaze. So yeah, fantastic. Ahsoka sat beside her, their shoulders nearly touching. The proximity made the Force flutter strangely, like fabric catching wind. That was brave. What you did back there. Stupid, you mean? Brave, Ahsoka insisted. You could have taken Dooku's offer. Would have been safer. Safety's overrated. America's eyes drifted to the vast cityscape beyond the windows. Besides, I meant what I said. You're my friend. Maybe the only real one I've had in a long time. The admission hung between them, vulnerable and honest. Ahsoka felt her chest tighten. 3 weeks of isolation, of second-guessing every relationship she'd ever had with the Jedi, wondering if any of it had been real or just duty masquerading as connection. And here was someone who barely knew her, choosing her anyway. I know what that's like, Ahsoka said quietly. Being alone. My master, Anakin, he tried to convince me to come back. Said the council made a mistake, that he needed me. She picked at a loose thread on her leggings. But he didn't fight for me when it mattered. None of them did. They just let me go. America shifted closer, their shoulders touching now. The contact sent a cascade of sensations through both of them. Force energy recoiling, multiversal power surging, reality itself protesting the connection. Neither pulled away. My mothers disappeared when I was 6, America said. One minute they were there. The next they'd vanished into some dimensional rift I didn't understand. I've been searching ever since. Every universe, every world. Always hoping the next portal will be the one that brings them back. Her voice cracked. It never is. I'm sorry. Yeah, me too. America wiped her eyes roughly. Stupid. I don't even know why I'm telling you this. Because you're tired of carrying it alone. Ahsoka understood that weight intimately. Because sometimes you need someone to know you're more than just the powers you have or the problems you cause. America turned to look at her, and Ahsoka was struck by how close they were. Close enough to see gold flecks in those dark brown eyes. Close enough to feel America's breath warm against her skin. Close enough that the Force and multiversal energy were creating visible distortions in the air between them. Reality bending around their proximity like heat shimmer. You're not like anyone I've ever met, America whispered. In any universe. Neither are you. The moment stretched. Ahsoka's heart hammered against her ribs. She'd had crushes before, fleeting, innocent things she'd buried under Jedi training and duty. Attachment was forbidden. Emotion was dangerous. She'd internalized those lessons so deeply she'd almost forgotten what it felt like to want something just for herself. But she wasn't a Jedi anymore. Ahsoka, America breathed. I can feel something happening. The energy between us. I know. Ahsoka could feel it too. The Force swirling, agitated, confused by what it was sensing. We should probably. America kissed her. The universe screamed. It wasn't metaphorical. The instant their lips met, reality itself recoiled in violent protest. The Force and America's multiversal energy collided, merged, twisted into something neither universe had rules for. The observation deck's windows shattered outward in a perfect sphere of expanding energy. Dimensional fractures erupted from where they sat, spreading like cracks in ice, each one showing glimpses of other worlds, other possibilities, other versions of reality bleeding through. Ahsoka gasped against America's mouth, felt the surge of power that was neither light nor dark, but something entirely new. Force energy saturated with multiversal potential, creating hybrid physics that defied both their universe's laws. They broke apart, both breathing hard, staring at each other in shock. What? America started. The fracture expanded. Around them, permacrete began dissolving into probability clouds. The floor flickered between solid and translucent. Through the broken windows, they could see the effect rippling outward across Coruscant. A visible wave of dimensional distortion that made buildings phase in and out of existence, that turned traffic lanes into streams of impossible color, that left reality itself questioning its own rules. In the Jedi Temple, every Force-sensitive being cried out simultaneously. Holocrons shattered. Training sabers exploded. Master Yoda stumbled, gripping his Jimmer stick with both hands as he felt the Force itself fracture. Across the galaxy, Darth Sidious felt it and laughed with genuine delight. And beyond dimensional barriers, the Watchers stopped observing and began moving. The contamination had reached critical levels. America Chavez had done the one thing they'd feared most. She'd created an emotional bond with a native Force user, and their connection was generating a hybrid energy signature that could collapse both universes into paradox. Quarantine protocols initiated. Timeline: 72 hours until point of no return. Ahsoka. America's voice shook. What did we just do? Ahsoka stared at the spreading fractures, at the dimensional scars literally radiating from where they sat. The Force was screaming warnings, showing her visions of reality unraveling, of timelines collapsing, of something fundamental breaking beyond repair. I don't know, she whispered, but I think we just proved Dooku right about one thing. What's that? You're not just a disturbance in the Force. Ahsoka looked at America, at this impossible girl from another universe who'd somehow become the most important person in her world. You're something the Force has never encountered before. And when you and I touched, when we connected, we created something new. America finished, staring at her hands. The starfire around them was different now, threaded with green energy that looked disturbingly like the color of Ahsoka's lightsabers. Something that shouldn't exist. The dimensional fractures were still spreading, slower now, but relentless. Already they could hear Sirens' emergency broadcasts, the city mobilizing in response to what everyone assumed was an attack. Ahsoka stood, pulling America up with her. Their hands touched again, that same surge of power, reality bending around them. But this time they were ready for it. They could feel it, control it slightly. The hybrid energy responded to their combined will. "We need to get out of here," Ahsoka said. "Before the Jedi arrive." Before, 3 figures materialized in the observation deck. Not through doors. Not through the Force. They simply appeared, stepping out of dimensional folds that made America's portals look crude by comparison. Tall, robed, faces hidden behind masks that showed nothing but starlight and void. America Chavez, the central figure, spoke with a voice like cosmic cold. "You have violated the multiversal preservation accords. You have contaminated a protected reality. You have created an unauthorized hybrid energy signature." The being's attention shifted to Ahsoka. "And you, Force user, have become complicit in multiversal contamination. Who are you?" Ahsoka's lightsabers ignited on instinct. "The Watchers," America said, her voice hollow with dread. "They found me." The Watchers didn't move with conventional motion. They existed in multiple dimensional states simultaneously, their forms flickering between solid and translucent, here and not here in the same instant. Looking at them made Ahsoka's montrals ache as the Force tried and failed to categorize what they were. "Stand down, America Chavez," the lead Watcher commanded. "You will return with us for judgment. The Force user will be severed from your influence, and this timeline will be stabilized." Severed. Ahsoka stepped in front of America, lightsabers raised. "What does that mean?" "It means they'll wipe your memory of me," America said quietly behind her. "Maybe more. Whatever it takes to undo the connection we created." Her starfire ignited, weak but defiant. "I'm not going with you. You don't have a choice." The Watcher on the left raised one hand, and reality itself bent toward them like gravity pulling water down a drain. The dimensional fractures America and Ahsoka had created began collapsing inward, drawn toward the Watcher's outstretched palm. "The hybrid energy signature you've generated is already destabilizing both universes. In 72 hours, the cascade failure will reach critical mass. Your reality and hers will collapse into paradox, neither able to exist, both ceasing to be." "You're lying." But America's voice wavered. She could feel it now that the Watchers had named it, the wrongness spreading through the Force like infection, the way her multiversal energy was corrupting the very fabric of this universe. "We do not lie. We preserve." The Central Watcher's mask tilted toward Ahsoka. "Force user, you feel it. The living Force is dying around the hybrid signature. Every moment you remain connected to America Chavez accelerates the collapse." Ahsoka did feel it. The Force was screaming, writhing, trying to expel the foreign energy that had been woven into it through their kiss. The green light threading through America's starfire wasn't just pretty. It was reality itself breaking down. 2 incompatible energy systems forced into coexistence. "There has to be another way," Ahsoka said. "There is not." The third Watcher spoke for the first time, voice like winter stars. "Multiversal law exists for this reason. When beings from separate realities form deep emotional bonds, they create dimensional anchors that neither universe can support. The only solution is immediate separation and memory erasure." "Like hell." America grabbed Ahsoka's hand, and the hybrid energy surged through both of them. The Watchers actually recoiled, their dimensional forms flickering with what might have been surprise. You want to erase what we have? You'll have to go through me first. The observation deck exploded with competing energies. The Watchers moved as one, their hands weaving patterns that folded space, that tried to separate America and Ahsoka through pure dimensional manipulation. America punched portals into existence, creating escape routes, using her multiversal awareness to stay one step ahead. Ahsoka moved on instinct, the Force guiding her blade work, deflecting attacks that weren't quite physical, protecting America's blind spots. But they were outmatched. The Watchers had been doing this for eons. They knew every trick, every multiversal loophole, every way a dimensional traveler might try to escape. You cannot win, the lead Watcher intoned, and space itself began contracting around them, shrinking the observation deck into a prison of folded dimensions. Accept judgment. It is the only mercy available. America's nose bled freely now, her powers straining against limits they'd never faced. Ahsoka's connection to the Force was fragmenting, the hybrid energy making it harder to draw on the light side. They were losing. Then Ahsoka felt it, a presence in the Force. Multiple presences, converging on their location. The wall exploded inward. Master Plo Koon strode through first, followed by 3 temple guards, their yellow lightsaber pikes ignited and ready. By order of the Jedi Council you will, he stopped, taking in the scene. The Watchers, the dimensional fractures, the impossible energy radiating from America and Ahsoka. What is this? Jedi. The Central Watchers' attention shifted. Withdraw. This is multiversal jurisdiction. This is Coruscant. Plo Koon's respirator-filtered voice was firm. Under Republic authority and Jedi protection. The anomaly is our responsibility. Your Force is contaminated by her presence. You cannot comprehend what's at stake. Then explain it. Plo Koon's Force presence remained calm, measured. He'd always been one of the more rational council members. Why are you hunting this girl? The Watchers exchanged looks, or whatever passed for communication between beings who existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Finally, the lead Watcher spoke. America Chavez has violated multiversal law by forming an emotional bond with a Force-sensitive being. The connection has created a hybrid energy that neither universe can sustain. If not severed within 72 hours, both the Star Wars galaxy and her home reality will collapse into non-existence. Trillions of lives across 2 universes will be erased. The temple guards shifted uncomfortably. Plo Koon's Force signature rippled with concern. That's quite a claim, he said carefully. Do you have proof? The Central Watcher gestured, and suddenly they could all see it, dimensional projections showing the fractures spreading across Coruscant, then the planet, then the system. Equations written in cosmic language showing probability matrices collapsing. Timelines fragmenting. The Force itself unraveling into paradox. Force, Ahsoka breathed. Is that real? Projections based on current cascade rate, the Watcher confirmed. Already, your Jedi Temple's holocrons are failing. Force sensitives across the galaxy report disrupted connections. This will accelerate exponentially. America's hand tightened in Ahsoka's. I didn't mean to. I never wanted. Intent is irrelevant. The Watcher's mask turned toward them. The result is the same. You must be separated. She must leave this universe. You must forget her, or all existence pays the price. Ahsoka felt the weight of those words settle over them like a shroud. Trillions of lives. The entire galaxy. Everyone she'd ever known, ever cared about. Against what? A connection that was barely hours old? A kiss that had felt like coming home, but was apparently destroying reality itself? The Jedi would call it an easy choice. The needs of the many. Attachment leads to suffering. But Ahsoka wasn't a Jedi anymore. What if we can control it? She spoke before she could second-guess herself. The hybrid energy. We felt it when it formed. We could sense it, manipulate it slightly. What if instead of severing the connection, we learned to stabilize it? Impossible. The Watcher's certainty was absolute. Force energy and multiversal power are fundamentally incompatible. They cannot coexist. They already are. America pointed to her hands, where starfire and green force energy swirled together in complex patterns. We created this. Maybe we can fix it. You are children playing with cosmic forces you cannot comprehend. Maybe, Ahsoka admitted. But 72 hours ago, you didn't think force energy and multiversal power could merge at all. We proved you wrong. Give us a chance to prove you wrong again. Plo Koon stepped forward. The Council will want to examine this phenomenon. If there's a possibility of stabilization without erasure, we should explore it. Jedi. The Central Watcher's voice carried warning. You risk everything on sentiment and hope. We offer certainty. Immediate separation. Memory erasure. Timeline restoration. All suffering ended. Except theirs, Plo Koon said quietly, looking at America and Ahsoka. You would erase their choice, their agency, their connection. The Jedi have made that mistake before. His respirator hissed. We lost a promising young Jedi because we valued our rules over her truth. I won't make that mistake again. Ahsoka's breath caught. Master Plo had always supported her, but she hadn't expected this. The Watchers drew themselves up, their forms solidifying into something almost threatening. Then the Jedi Order shares responsibility for what comes. When the cascade reaches critical mass, when reality begins its death spiral, remember that you chose sentiment over preservation. We choose hope over certainty. Plo Koon corrected. It's the Jedi way, or should be. The lead Watcher turned its mask toward America and Ahsoka one final time. 72 hours. Stabilize the hybrid energy or accept separation. Those are your only options. We will be watching. They vanished, not through portals, not through the Force, just ceased being there. The observation deck fell silent except for distant sirens and the crackle of dimensional fractures slowly fading. Ahsoka looked at Master Plo. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. His Force presence was grim. The Council will demand answers. They'll want to study you both, understand the hybrid energy, contain the threat. He paused. And they may ultimately decide the Watchers are right. Then we have 72 hours to prove them wrong, America said. She squeezed Ahsoka's hand, ignoring the way reality flickered around their touch. Together. Together. The word resonated through the Force and the multiverse simultaneously, creating harmonics that shouldn't exist, but somehow did. 3 days to save 2 universes. 3 days to prove that love wasn't just a rule to be broken, but a force powerful enough to rewrite the cosmos itself. The Jedi Temple's analysis chamber hummed with diagnostic equipment that hadn't been used since the Clone Wars began. Ahsoka stood in the center of a scanning array while America sat cross-legged nearby. Both of them surrounded by holographic displays showing energy readings that made the assembled masters exchange concerned glances. Fascinating, Master Ki-Adi-Mundi murmured, studying the data. The hybrid signature is stable within a 3-meter radius of both subjects. Beyond that, it destabilizes exponentially, meaning they have to stay close together, Mace Windu said, his tone making it clear what he thought of that. Attachment was forbidden for a reason, Ahsoka. I'm not a Jedi anymore, Ahsoka said quietly. Your rules don't apply to me. The laws of physics do. Windu gestured to the collapsing probability matrices. This energy you've created, it's eating away at the Force like a cancer. Every hour, the contamination spreads further. America flinched at the word contamination, and Ahsoka felt a surge of protective anger. She stepped closer to America, their proximity immediately stabilizing the wildest fluctuations in the readings. Plo Koon noticed. Interesting. The hybrid energy responds to their emotional state. When they're calm, connected, it's almost stable. Almost isn't good enough, Windu countered. We have less than 70 hours before the Watcher's projection comes true. We need solutions, not sentiment. Master Windu. Yoda's voice cut through the tension. The ancient Jedi Master had been silent until now, observing from the corner of the chamber with half-closed eyes. Feel the Force, you do not? Windu frowned. Of course I feel it. It's being corrupted by. Look again. Yoda tapped his jimmer stick. Wounded, yes. Changing, yes. But dying? He tilted his head. Adapting, perhaps. The masters turned back to the readings. Ahsoka watched them study the data with increasing confusion, then dawning realization. The hybrid energy wasn't just destroying the Force, it was transforming it, creating new pathways, new possibilities, new forms of connection that the Force had never expressed before. Its evolution, Ahsoka breathed. The Force is learning to incorporate multiversal energy. Or being infected by it, Windu said darkly. Before anyone could respond, the chamber doors hissed open. Chancellor Palpatine entered, flanked by Senate guards. His kindly face creased with concern. Masters, forgive the intrusion, but I've received troubling reports. His eyes found America and Ahsoka, and for just an instant, so brief Ahsoka almost missed it, something hungry flashed behind his grandfatherly expression. The Senate is in an uproar. Citizens across Coruscant report reality distortions, dimensional fractures, Force sensitives experiencing unprecedented disruptions. He clasped his hands. I'm afraid I must ask, is the situation under control? We're working on it, Chancellor. Plo Koon said diplomatically. I see. Palpatine moved closer to the scanning array, studying America with open fascination. And this young woman is the source? The multiversal traveler. He smiled warmly. Remarkable. To think all those legends about other dimensions. And here you stand, proof they're real. America stood, suspicious. Something about the Chancellor made her skin crawl, though she couldn't articulate why. Yeah, that's me. America Chavez, Reality Destroyer. Nice to meet you. The pleasure is mine. Palpatine's attention shifted to the energy readings. These hybrid signatures, they represent a fusion of your abilities and the Force itself. Yes? How unprecedented. How powerful. Ahsoka felt the Force ripple with rawness. Master Plo did too, his respirator hissing as he stepped forward. Chancellor, perhaps we should discuss this with the Council privately. Of course. But Palpatine didn't move. He studied the data like a man reading a treasure map. Though I wonder, Masters, have you considered the strategic implications? If this hybrid energy could be controlled, weaponized even, imagine what it might mean for the war effort. Instantaneous troop deployment. Dimensional shortcuts through enemy lines. The Separatists wouldn't stand a chance. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. We will not weaponize these young women, Yoda said firmly. Naturally not. Palpatine's smile never wavered. I merely suggest we consider all possibilities before making hasty decisions. The Senate would hate to see valuable assets lost due to Jedi orthodoxy. There it was. The threat wrapped in political pleasantries. The reminder that the Jedi served at the Senate's discretion, that their autonomy existed only as long as politicians allowed it. Mace Windu's jaw tightened. The Chancellor makes a valid point. Perhaps we should. America's starfire erupted. Nobody weaponizes me. I'm not an asset. I'm not a tool. And I'm definitely not letting space politicians decide what happens to me. Alarms shrieked. The dimensional fractures that had been dormant suddenly expanded, spreading from America in waves of reality distortion. Holographic displays shattered. Analysis equipment sparked and died. Through the widening rifts, impossible vistas became visible. Worlds of living crystal, skies that rained upward, cities built from full to time. America, stop. Ahsoka grabbed her hand, and the hybrid energy surged through both of them. The fractures stabilized slightly, but didn't close. You're making it worse. He wants to use us. America's eyes blazed with starfire. Did you hear him? Weaponized strategic implications, assets. That's what I am to him. That's what we both are. She wasn't wrong. Ahsoka had heard it too, the barely concealed hunger in Palpatine's voice. But losing control now would only prove the Council right about the danger they posed. Palpatine stepped back, hands raised in placating gesture. I meant no offense, my dear. Simply exploring options. Clearly I've upset you. Perhaps I should. The temple shook, not from America's powers, from something else, something massive and violent hitting the lower levels. Emergency alerts flooded in, explosions in the temple hangar, automated defenses engaging unknown hostiles, multiple breaches. We're under attack, Winda said, lightsaber already in hand. Temple guards, secure the Chancellor. Masters, to defensive positions. Ahsoka. I'm not your Padawan anymore, Ahsoka said, igniting her own lightsabers. But I'll help defend the temple. Come on, America. They ran. The corridors were chaos. Clone troopers rushed past in formation. Jedi Knights coordinated defensive positions. And through the smoke and confusion, Ahsoka caught glimpses of the attackers. Mandalorians. Death Watch, specifically, the radical splinter faction that rejected the new Mandalorians' pacifist ways. Their distinctive armor gleamed in the emergency lighting as they fought with brutal efficiency, using jetpacks and flamethrowers to push deeper into the temple. What are Mandalorians doing here? America punched a portal, redirecting a rocket that would have killed a group of younglings. I thought this was a Jedi place. Isn't it supposed to be defended? It is. Which means someone gave them access codes, intelligence, timing. Ahsoka's mind raced. This isn't random. This is coordinated. They rounded a corner and found themselves face to face with Pre-Vizsla himself, leader of Death Watch. His darksaber hummed in his hand, the ancient black-bladed weapon that marked him as a true Mandalorian warrior. Ahsoka Tano, he said, voice distorted by his helmet. And the multiversal anomaly. Perfect. You're both coming with us. Hard pass, America said, starfire erupting. The fight was brutal and close quarters. Vizsla was a master combatant, his Beskar armor deflecting Ahsoka's lightsaber strikes, his darksaber meeting her blades with showers of sparks. America's portals kept his backup troops disoriented, redirecting their attacks back at them. But she was tiring fast. The hybrid energy was draining both of them faster than normal combat would. You don't understand, Vizsla said, blocking Ahsoka's strike. We're not your enemies. We're your escape route. Funny way of showing it. Ahsoka kicked off his chest, flipping backward. The Chancellor ordered this attack. Vizsla's words stopped them both cold. Used intermediaries, of course. Plausible deniability. But we have the communications. He wants you captured, studied, taken apart to understand how your powers work. The Jedi won't protect you. They serve the Senate. You're lying, Ahsoka said, but doubt crept in. Palpatine's interest. His talk of weaponization. The convenient timing of this attack. Am I? Vizsla deactivated his darksaber. Then stay. Let the Jedi hand you over to Senate investigators. See what happens. He gestured to his troops, who lowered their weapons. Or come with us. Death Watch offers sanctuary to warriors and outcasts. You both qualify. America and Ahsoka exchanged glances. The hybrid energy pulsed between them, carrying emotion along with power, uncertainty, fear, desperation. Why would you help us? America asked. Because you broke reality by refusing to follow someone else's rules. Vizsla's helmet tilted. That's the most Mandalorian thing I've ever heard. Behind them, Ahsoka felt Jedi Masters approaching, felt the net closing. Palpatine had played this perfectly, forced them into a corner where they had to choose between Jedi custody, Senate control, or fleeing with terrorists. No good options. Only degrees of terrible. America's hand found Ahsoka's. Together, Ahsoka confirmed. They ran with Death Watch. Death Watch's ship was a repurposed Kamar K-class fighter named Kyartsad, hidden in the abandoned shipyards orbiting Concordia. The interior smelled of weapon oil and recycled air, every surface dedicated to function over comfort. Mandalorians didn't do luxury. America collapsed onto a cargo crate the moment they were aboard, exhausted. Her starfire had dimmed to barely visible flickers, and blood crusted beneath her nose from the sustained portal usage. Ahsoka sat beside her, their shoulders touching out of necessity now. Whenever they separated by more than a few meters, the hybrid energy destabilized violently. Water, Vizsla said, tossing them canteens. He'd removed his helmet, revealing a scarred face and hard eyes that had seen too much war. You both look like hell. Feel like it too, America muttered, drinking deeply. So what now? You said you'd help us. How? By getting you far from Coruscant before the Jedi or Senate can reclaim you. Vizsla crossed his arms. But first, you need to understand what's happening. What you're really facing. He activated a hollow projector. The image that appeared made Ahsoka's blood run cold. It was a map of the galaxy, but wrong. Entire star systems were marked in red, corruption zones where the dimensional fractures had spread beyond containment. The Coruscant system glowed brightest, but tendrils of contamination reached outward like infection spreading through veins. Corellia, Alderaan, Naboo, even distant Tatooine showed preliminary fractures. This is current status, Vizsla said grimly. Updated 20 minutes ago from our intelligence network. The dimensional scars you created aren't just affecting Coruscant anymore. They're spreading through hyperspace routes, following trade lanes, propagating through the Force itself. He zoomed in on several systems. Reports from across the galaxy, Jedi experiencing disrupted connections, ships jumping to hyperspace and emerging in the wrong locations, entire planets seeing reality glitches. America stared at the map, horror dawning. That's because of us? Because of what we? Because you fell in love, Vizsla finished bluntly. Or started to. Whatever you call what happened in that observation deck. He met their eyes. The Watchers weren't exaggerating. At current propagation rate, you have maybe 50 hours before the cascade becomes irreversible. After that, he gestured at the galaxy. All of this collapses into paradox. Both your universes cease to exist. The weight of those words was crushing. Ahsoka felt the Force around them, could sense its pain now that Vizsla had named it. The living Force was dying, not dramatically, but inexorably, like a body slowly succumbing to poison. And they were the poison. There has to be a way to stop it, Ahsoka said desperately. The hybrid energy. When we're calm, when we work together, it stabilizes. Master Piello saw it. If we can just figure out how to. You can't. The voice came from behind them. They spun. A figure stood in the ship's doorway, tall, robed in dark fabric that seemed to absorb light. Not a Mandalorian. Someone else entirely. Someone who radiated wrongness in the Force that made Ahsoka's mantrals ache. Count Dooku stepped forward, followed by 2 Magna Guards. Forgive the intrusion, but Death Watch and the Separatists have arrangement. Vizsla was kind enough to alert me to your arrival. Vizsla didn't look remotely apologetic. Politics makes strange allies, Tano. You should know that. Ahsoka's lightsabers were in her hands instantly. You sold us out. I gave you options, Vizsla corrected. Dooku wants to make you an offer. Hear him out or don't, your choice. But the Mandalorian way is pragmatism, not blind heroism. America's starfire erupted weakly. I already told you no, Count. That hasn't changed. Actually, it has. Dooku gestured to the galactic map. Before, I wanted to use your powers to win a war. Now I'm offering to save your lives, and possibly both universes. He waved a hand, and new data flooded the projection. Equations. Probability matrices. Sith holocron translations. I've been researching your hybrid energy signature using ancient dark side texts. There is a solution, but it requires something the Jedi would never allow. What kind of solution? Ahsoka demanded. Consume the Force. Dooku said it casually, like suggesting a tactical maneuver. The hybrid energy you've created is neither light nor dark. It's something new, something hungry. It needs power to stabilize. Currently, it's drawing that power randomly from the Force around you, which creates the fractures. But if you directed that hunger consciously, if you fed it deliberately through dark side channeling, you could stabilize the hybrid signature and prevent the cascade. America shook her head. You want us to turn evil to save the galaxy? That's your brilliant plan. I want you to embrace power without the Jedi's squeamish morality. Dooku's tone hardened. The dark side isn't evil, it's honest. Passion, strength, freedom from restriction. Your connection already violates every Jedi teaching about attachment. Why stop there? He looked at Ahsoka. You know I'm right. You've already rejected the order. Rejected their lies about emotion and connection. This is simply the logical next step. Ahsoka felt the temptation. Force help her, she felt it. The dark side whispered that Dooku was right, that the Jedi's restrictions had always held her back, that power without guilt was the only path forward. She could feel the hybrid energy responding to those thoughts, growing stronger, more stable as her emotions intensified. No. America's hand gripped hers tightly. Don't listen to him, Ahsoka. I've seen what corruption looks like in 100 universes. It always starts with just this once, and ends with losing yourself. Then you'll both die, Dooku said flatly. Along with trillions of innocents, when the cascade reaches critical mass. The Watchers will return. They'll enforce separation, probably eliminate you both to be certain. Is your moral purity worth that price? The ship shuddered. Through the viewport, they could see dimensional fractures opening in the space around Concordia. Reality itself was tearing, showing glimpses of other worlds, other possibilities. The effect was accelerating. We're out of time, Vizsla observed clinically. Make a choice. Dooku's way, the Watcher's way, or die trying to find a third option that doesn't exist. Ahsoka looked at America. Really looked at her. This impossible girl who'd crashed into her life and changed everything. Who'd chosen her over safety. Who'd kissed her and broken the universe doing it. The hybrid energy pulsed between them, carrying more than power now. Carrying hope, fear, love that was barely hours old but felt foundational. There is a third option, Ahsoka said quietly. What? America asked. We don't stabilize the hybrid energy. We complete it. Ahsoka turned to Dooku. You said the energy is hungry, that it's drawing power randomly because it's incomplete. What if that's because we're incomplete? What if the kiss started something but didn't finish it? Dooku's eyes narrowed. Explain. Force bonds. Ahsoka's mind raced, pulling on half-remembered temple lessons. When two force sensitives connect deeply, they create permanent links. Shared emotions, shared power. The bond becomes part of the force itself. She looked at America. But you're not force sensitive. When we connected, we created something neither universe had rules for, an incomplete bond trying to bridge incompatible energy systems. So we complete the bond, America said slowly, understanding dawning. We don't fight the connection or try to control it. We lean into it completely. Let the Force and Multiverse fully merge through us instead of tearing each other apart. That's insane, Vizsla said. It's brilliant, Dooku admitted grudgingly. And far more dangerous than my proposal. A complete force bond typically requires years of connection, training, shared experience. You're suggesting doing it in hours, between a force user and a multiversal being, while reality collapses around you. The probability of success is better than zero, Ahsoka interrupted. Which is what we have otherwise. The ship shuddered again. Through the viewport, an entire moon phased out of existence, replaced briefly by a crystalline structure from another dimension before snapping back. The cascade was accelerating exponentially now. 48 hours, America whispered, staring at her hands. The starfire and force energy were fighting each other, creating miniature reality tears across her knuckles. That's all we have left. Then we use it. Ahsoka stood, pulling America up with her. No Jedi. No Sith. No Watchers. Just us, and whatever we can create together. Dooku studied them for a long moment. You'll fail. The bond will tear you both apart before it completes. But I admit, I'm curious to see you try. He turned to leave, Magna Guards following. When you're ready to accept power, the Separatists will still offer sanctuary. Vizsla watched him go, then looked at Ahsoka and America. You're welcome to stay aboard KYRTSAD. Mandalorians respect warriors who choose impossible fights. He paused. Though I hope you understand what you're attempting. Force bonds aren't just power. They're everything. Every emotion, every memory, every fear and hope. You'll know each other completely. There'll be nowhere to hide. Good, America said softly, meeting Ahsoka's eyes. I'm tired of hiding. Ahsoka felt her heart skip. 48 hours to complete what should take years. 48 hours to forge a bond between Force and Multiverse that could save two universes or destroy them both. No pressure. They found a quiet chamber deep in the KYRTSAD, a meditation space the Mandalorians rarely used, just bare walls and silence. America sat cross-legged on the floor, Ahsoka facing her, their knees touching. The hybrid energy crackled between them, visible now as threads of blue star fire and green force light weaving together in increasingly complex patterns. "I don't know how to do this," America admitted. "I've never had training in meditation or force bonds or any of this mystical stuff." "Neither have I." Ahsoka smiled ruefully. "Force bonds aren't taught, they just happen. Master and Padawan. Siblings. Lovers." She paused on that last word. The Jedi forbid them because they believe attachment clouds judgment. But bonds are how the Force connects living beings most deeply. So we just what? Think really hard about each other. We open ourselves completely. Ahsoka took America's hands, ignoring the reality distortions that immediately rippled outward. No walls. No secrets. Everything we are, everything we've been, everything we fear, we let it flow between us until there's no difference between your energy and mine. America's breath caught. That's terrifying. Yeah. Ahsoka squeezed her hands gently. It is. They closed their eyes. The bond formed slowly at first, tendrils of consciousness reaching across the space between them. Ahsoka felt America's memories flooding in. A childhood in a utopian parallel, watching her mothers disappear into dimensional rifts, the loneliness of endless searching across universes, the fear that she'd never belong anywhere. Each memory carried weight, emotion, the raw vulnerability of a girl who'd spent years running. In return, Ahsoka opened herself, growing up in the Jedi Temple, the pride of becoming Anakin's Padawan, the horror of the temple bombing, the betrayal of the Council, the aching emptiness of walking away from the only family she'd ever known. The hybrid energy responded, growing stronger, more stable. The fractures in the chamber walls began sealing themselves as Force and Multiverse learned to coexist through their connection. Then they went deeper. America felt Ahsoka's shame, the guilt of leaving Anakin, wondering if she'd abandoned him when he needed her most. The fear that she was broken, that the Council had been right to doubt her, that she'd never be whole again. Ahsoka felt America's desperation, the crushing weight of being unique across all realities, the isolation of knowing her mothers were gone forever but refusing to stop searching, the terror that she destroyed everything she touched. Deeper still, America felt Ahsoka's first moment of attraction, seeing America standing defiant in that alley, recognizing a kindred spirit, the flutter in her chest, the dangerous thought, I could fall for her. Ahsoka felt America's kiss, the split-second decision to lean forward, the way her heart hammered, the instant knowledge that this girl in blue and white was worth breaking every rule for. And beneath it all, the truth they'd both been avoiding. This wasn't just attraction or convenience or two people thrown together by circumstance. This was love, fragile, new, terrifying, but absolutely real. The bond crystallized. Power erupted from where they sat, a shockwave of hybrid energy that blew the chamber doors off their hinges. But this time, the energy didn't tear reality. It rewrote it. The Force and multiversal power merged completely, creating physics that obeyed both sets of rules simultaneously. Dimensional fractures across the ship sealed themselves. The spreading corruption began retracting, healing, transforming into something new. Through the bond, they felt everything. Ahsoka could suddenly sense dimensions beyond this one, feel the multiverse stretching infinite in ways the Force never showed. America could touch the living Force, understand the connections between all beings, experience the flow that bound the galaxy together. They were still separate beings, but they were also one. Force, Ahsoka breathed, eyes snapping open. America stared at her, wonder and terror mixing. Is it working? Are we? The ship lurched violently. Alarm screamed. They stumbled to the viewport and saw them. 3 Jedi cruisers dropping out of hyperspace. two separatist frigates emerging from the opposite vector. And above them all, tearing through dimensional barriers like wet paper, the Watchers materialized. This time there were dozens of them, a full enforcement contingent. "They're all here," America whispered. "Everyone who wants to control us, or kill us, or force us apart." Vizslav's voice crackled over the intercom. "We've got Jedi demanding your surrender, separatists wanting to negotiate, and those dimensional beings who won't even acknowledge our hails. Whatever you did in there, it got everyone's attention. Recommendations." Ahsoka and America looked at each other. Through the bond, they felt each other's fear, determination, love. The hybrid energy pulsed between them, stable now, but incomplete. They'd started the bond, but completing it, making it permanent, unbreakable, would require a choice neither universe was prepared to accept. "We can feel it," Ahsoka said quietly. "The final step. To complete the bond fully, we have to choose it over everything else. Over the Jedi. Over the Watchers' laws. Over both our universes if necessary." That's what they're all afraid of, America realized. Not that we'll fail, that we'll succeed. That will prove love can rewrite cosmic law. The lead Watcher's voice filled the ship, speaking directly into their minds. America Chavez. "Ahsoka Tano, you have reached the threshold. Complete the bond and both universes collapse. Our projections are absolute. Sever it now, accept separation, and both realities survive. Choose, *. Master Plo Koon's voice came next, broadcasted from the lead Jedi cruiser. "Ahsoka, please. I convinced the Council to give you time. Don't prove them right about attachment leading to destruction. Let her go. Save the galaxy." Count Dooku's transmission followed. "Or embrace the dark side and take what you want. Power enough to challenge even the Watchers. The choice isn't between love and duty. It's between strength and weakness. 3 paths. 3 voices. 3 ways to surrender who they were for what everyone else demanded." America's starfire erupted, brighter than ever before. "I'm so tired of people telling me what I can't do. What rules I have to follow. What's impossible." She turned to Ahsoka. "What do you want?" Ahsoka felt the question resonate through the bond, carrying everything. All the fear, all the hope, all the love that was hours old but felt eternal. The Jedi wanted her to choose duty. The Watchers demanded she choose survival. Dooku offered power. But what did she want? "You." Ahsoka said simply. "I want you. I want this. Whatever costs. Even if it means both universes collapse." The Watchers could be wrong. The Jedi were wrong about me. Dooku's wrong about the dark side. Ahsoka stepped closer, until they were breathing the same air. "But even if everyone's right, even if choosing this destroys everything, I still choose it. I choose you." America's eyes blazed with starfire and tears. "That's the most insane thing I've ever heard." "Yeah." Ahsoka smiled. "It is." "Good." America grabbed Ahsoka's face in both hands. "Because I choose you too." They kissed. Not tentatively this time. Not uncertain. With absolute conviction. With full knowledge of the consequences. With every wall demolished and every fear embraced. The bond completed. Reality screamed. The Force and the Multiverse collided one final time. And instead of destroying each other, they merged. The hybrid energy exploded outward in a sphere of impossible light that consumed the Kwartzad, the surrounding ships, Concordia itself. Jedi felt their connection to the Force transform into something vaster. The Watchers recoiled as their dimensional calculations shattered. Dooku staggered as the dark side itself shifted beneath his feet. Through it all, America and Ahsoka held each other, feeling the bond lock into place like a key turning in a cosmic lock. The light faded. They stood in the meditation chamber, unmarked, unchanged except for the bond that now connected them permanently. Around them, the ship was intact. The fractures were gone. And through the viewport, they could see it, reality healing. The dimensional scars across the galaxy sealing themselves. The Force and multiversal energy no longer fighting, but flowing together in harmony. The Watchers materialized inside the chamber, their forms flickering with what might have been shock. Impossible, the lead Watcher said. The projections were absolute. The cascade should have. You were wrong, America said simply. Love didn't break the multiverse. It expanded it. The Watchers stood motionless, their dimensional forms flickering erratically as they processed the impossible. Around them, the hybrid energy pulsed with steady rhythm, force and multiversal power woven together so seamlessly that neither could exist without the other anymore. You have rewritten fundamental cosmic law, the lead Watcher said finally. Its voice carried something that might have been awe or horror. The bond you've created, it shouldn't be stable. Our calculations accounted for every variable, every probability. Collapse was inevitable. You calculated everything except what we choose, Ahsoka said. Through the bond, she felt America's strength flowing into her, felt their combined determination. You saw us as variables in an equation, not people capable of changing the equation itself. The Watcher tilted its masthead. The precedent this sets, other multiversal travelers will attempt similar bonds. Reality will fragment in ways we cannot predict or control. Good, America said flatly. Maybe it's time the multiverse had fewer rules and more trust in people to figure things out. You don't understand the chaos you've unleashed. We understand perfectly. Ahsoka stepped forward, her presence in the Force radiating confidence. The hybrid energy responded to her will now, creating possibilities the living Force had never expressed before. For eons, you've enforced separation, kept universes isolated, prevented connection because it was safer, more controlled. But the Force, the real Force, not the dogmatic version the Jedi teach, is about connection, about life reaching toward life. She gestured to herself and America. We didn't break your rules out of rebellion. We broke them because love is a force more fundamental than your laws. The Watchers exchanged looks, or whatever passed for communication between them. Finally, the lead Watcher spoke again. We cannot undo what you've done. The hybrid energy has propagated across both universes. The Force itself has evolved. A pause. You will be monitored closely, should the bond destabilize. It won't, America interrupted. We're not some experiment that might fail. We're two people who chose each other. That's not going to change. The Watcher studied them for a long moment. Then, remarkably, it inclined its head, the barest acknowledgement of something like respect. Then we shall watch and learn. Perhaps you are correct. Perhaps the multiverse's greatest strength is not isolation, but connection. It turned to leave, the other Watchers following. The Accords will be revised. They vanished, folding back into dimensional spaces humans couldn't perceive. America sagged against Ahsoka, exhaustion finally catching up. Did we just make multiversal law enforcement change their policies? I think we did. Ahsoka supported her, marveling at how natural it felt, how the bond made them instinctively aware of each other's needs. Though I suspect they'll be watching us for a long time. Let them watch. America grinned tiredly. We've got nothing to hide. The Jedi cruisers were still holding position outside. Ahsoka felt Master Piello's presence reach out through the Force, and stopped. The Force felt different now. She could sense dimensions layered on top of this one, could feel the multiverse branching in infinite directions, could touch possibilities that the old Force had never revealed. Master Piello, she said, knowing he could hear through the hybrid energy that now permeated local space. Tell the Council, I'm not coming back to the temple. His response came tinged with sadness, but also understanding. I know. You've become something the Order has no framework for. A Force user bonded to multiversal power. A pause. The Council is divided. Some see you as a threat, others as an evolution. Master Yoda asked me to tell you. Paths not taken, reveal truths unspoken. Ahsoka smiled. That sounded like Yoda, cryptic but supportive in his own way. What about you, Master? What do you see? Two young women who chose love over fear, who proved that connection is strength, not weakness. Pielo Kun's Force presence radiated warmth. The galaxy will need that reminder. The Jedi will need it. Perhaps you can teach us what we've forgotten. Perhaps, Ahsoka agreed. But on our terms. No council mandates. No restrictions on attachment. No pretending this bond is something to be ashamed of. Understood. The Order will not pursue you. A longer pause. Be careful, Ahsoka. The war still rages. And now that word of your abilities has spread, every faction will want to recruit or eliminate you. The hybrid energy makes you powerful, and therefore dangerous to those who fear change. We'll manage. Through the bond, she felt America's agreement. We're good at impossible things. The Jedi cruisers turned, engaging hyperspace drives, jumping away. The Separatist frigates lingered a moment longer, Count Dooku's presence a dark whisper in the Force, before they too departed. Only Death Watch remained. Vizslaw's face appeared on the chamber's comm screen. Impressive display. You've made enemies and allies in equal measure today. He paused. The Mandalorian offer stands. Sanctuary, resources, training if you want it. We don't care about Jedi dogma or multiversal law. We respect strength and conviction. His scarred face almost smiled. You've got both. America looked at Ahsoka. Through the bond, they didn't need words to communicate. They felt each other's uncertainty about accepting help from Death Watch, felt the pragmatic recognition that they needed allies, felt the shared determination to forge their own path. We appreciate the offer, Ahsoka said carefully. But we're not joining Death Watch. We're not joining anyone. We're going to travel the galaxy, help where we can, learn what this bond means and what it can do. On our own terms. Vizsla nodded, unsurprised. Fair enough. But if you need a ship, supplies, or a fight, we owe you one. You gave Mandalore's children something to talk about for generations. The day two women rewrote reality itself. He actually smiled. That's a saga worth singing. The transmission cut. America and Ahsoka stood alone in the meditation chamber. The galaxy spread before them through the viewport. They could feel it now through the bond, every dimensional variation, every force-sensitive being, every possibility branching and merging in infinite complexity. What do we do now? America asked quietly. Ahsoka took her hand, marveling at how the touch no longer created fractures, but instead generated harmonic resonance. Reality strengthening where they connected rather than tearing. We find our place. Together. We've proven that Force and Multiverse can coexist. Now, we figure out what that means. No pressure, America said wryly. We've got time. Ahsoka pulled her close, feeling their bond pulse with shared emotion, love, hope, determination. We've got each other. That's enough. Through the viewport, stars wheeled in their eternal dance. The Force flowed around them, changed forever by what they'd created. The multiverse stretched infinite, no longer quite so separate from this galaxy far, far away. 2 universes, 1 bond. 2 young women who'd chosen love over cosmic law and somehow won. The galaxy would never be the same. Neither would they. And that was exactly how it should be. 3 weeks later, reports began filtering through the holonet of 2 mysterious figures operating across the Outer Rim. A Togruta and a human woman. Travelers who appeared without warning and vanished through portals of starfire and green light. They stopped slave traders on Ryloth, defended a colony from pirates near Hutt space, and left dimensional signatures that confused every scanner in known space. The Jedi Council debated their status endlessly. Some called them rogue Force users. Others whispered about evolution, about the Force expanding beyond its ancient boundaries. Master Yoda simply smiled and said nothing. The Watchers observed from beyond dimensional barriers, recording unprecedented data. The bond between America Chavez and Ahsoka Tano remained stable, more than stable. It was growing stronger, creating new possibilities neither universe had imagined. And across the multiverse, in realities the Star Wars galaxy had never touched, others began to notice. Dimensional travelers whispered about the pair who'd proven love could rewrite cosmic law. Some were inspired. Others were terrified. In a quiet cantina on Tatooine, America and Ahsoka sat watching binary suns set, their hands intertwined, the bond between them humming with contentment. They'd broken every rule that mattered. They'd survived the Jedi, the Sith, the Watchers themselves. And they'd do it all again. Because some forces, some loves, are worth breaking the multiverse for.